All right, guys, how you doing? Gabe DeArmond here. The post-game drink is underway. See, some of you are already here. Appreciate that. Hit the like button. We're going to take your calls here in just a few minutes. But two things we always do on the post-game drink. First, we introduce the post-game drink. This week, it is Boulevard's single-wide IPA. There's a real simple reason for that, guys. Gainesville, Florida, there's kind of a reputation. The jorts. I've been there. It's not my favorite. I like this beer a lot. Don't love the town, but there's a little reputation about Gainesville and the team Missouri played tonight. So I thought I'd drink a single wide IPA. It's at least what we're starting with. We're going to move on. We're going to be here. We're going to take your calls as long as you guys want to talk about this game, talk about the rest of the season, all that. But first, what we're going to do, we're going to hear from the head coach. Just finished up with Eli Drinkwitz's press conference from Gainesville. We're going to play that for you, let you listen to that. I think it's about 10 minutes. When we're done with that, we'll come back. We'll take your calls. We'll break it all down.
They didn't play well enough on the road to give ourselves an opportunity to beat a top 10 team. There's no excuse for it. Didn't play well enough offensively. Weren't able to control the line of scrimmage defensively. We had a couple of busted coverages. They had 3 straight possessions there where they scored before half. It really put the game in doubt. And, offensively, we had a bunch of drops. So, got to improve, got to get a lot better. And I'll open up for questions.
All right, first one comes from Peter Baugh. Peter?
Yeah, Eli, what, I guess from your perspective, kind of happened there at the end of the first half?
Honestly, I don't really know. I was watching. My eyes were on the ball. We played the ball. Ball was knocked away. I started running in and saw one of their coaches on our hash yelling at our guys, and then I saw more of their players join in. Then our players joined in, and we got to keep our guys from joining in. We got to keep our guys from the sideline. It's an ugly scene. It's an ugly scene for football. It's an ugly scene for college football, and I'm not proud of it. And I don't know who started it, but we got to figure it out. We got to get it fixed. Like I said, it's disappointing. I'm not for that at all. And I don't know why they were running over to our hash. I have no idea what even kinda they were yelling about. So we'll take a look at the film. But then I'm sure we'll find out more tomorrow when we watch the tape. The film doesn't lie.
Gabe DeArmond from Power Mizzou. Gabe?
Yeah, Eli, I wonder if you could share any of your conversation with Coach Mullen after the game. I don't know if it was related to the halftime stuff or not.
Yeah, I just said, figure out what happened. It wasn't exactly pleasant at halftime, so just trying to figure out what happened and see if we can get it fixed. I thought both sides did a nice job in the second half and not letting it bleed over to the second half.
Mitchell 40, Power Mizzou.
Eli, wasn't able to sustain many drives until late in the game there. I'm curious what kind of issues was it more execution or based or a combination?
Yeah, I'll have to go back and watch the tape. They were giving us fits up front. We weren't able to convert third downs. Obviously we had the fumble right before half that really put us. But, we dropped the touchdown to start the second quarter, which would have put us up 14, 14-6 or something right there. And we got to take advantage of those situations on the road. We had 4 new starters with the offensive line today, and they did a nice job creating confusion. So 4 new starters, 3 new starters with the offensive line. 3, yeah.
Eric Long, Eric.
Eli, speaking of the offensive line, when you have a group that hasn't had a lot of other or chemistry, and you're playing against an experienced defensive line, is this kind of just the game you expected, or how did the result kind of rely on the offensive line to do better?
I got to do better. It's my job to call plays that we can execute. It's my job to put us in a situation to be successful offensively, and I didn't do that tonight. So that's bottom line. That's on me, and we got to work hard to get it fixed. It is what it is. That's COVID 2020. So, we got who we got.
Dave Matter from the Coach.
Eli, you mentioned the drops. Think of the way that Connor played against this defense on the road.
Wasn't good enough. So wasn't good enough in any phase. Wasn't good enough at quarterback, O-line, wideout, quarterback, head coach. Wasn't good enough. We, didn't score enough points, didn't sustain drives, didn't stay on the field on third down, had a critical 2 fumbles. So we got to improve, and that's what we'll do. But wasn't good enough by anybody.
Peter Ball, athletic Peter.
Yeah, Eli, what kind of part did the downfield attack like there were many long pass attempts during the game?
I mean, we threw one on the start of the second quarter that went about 60 yards in the air, and we dropped it. So we first third down of the game, we threw a 9-ball to the boundary and missed it. So I don't know what you're talking about.
Eli, against LSU, you guys had turnovers that didn't really hurt the outcome. Tonight, they changed the game. How much of a focus will you guys be putting on those turnovers during this bye weekend and preparing for your next game?
Yeah, ton. We don't turn the football over. We got a chance to help our defense and play good football, and we're not doing that. We're putting our guys in bad positions. Our defense played their butt off in the first half, and shouldn't have happened. So, got to focus on it.
Max Baker from Missouri and Max.
Yeah, Coach. What did you think? Allowed Tony to have such success? You did.
You're cutting out. Can you say it again? I'm sorry, but
yeah, I said. What did you think allowed Tony to have such success today? In the receiving game, and then also, how did you feel you did against Kyle Pitts? I know you talked about them earlier in the week.
We didn't set good enough edges against Kendarius, and he was able to break tackles. I don't know. I don't have the individual stats, but I know in the first half when they were moving the ball down the field, they seemed to keep finding him. They had a critical third down where they threw it on him. So, I mean, at the end of the day, we didn't win, so we didn't do a good enough job defending anybody.
Luigi Ferrata from the Star. Go ahead.
Eli, I was just wondering, what was the conversation at halftime? Not just from scuffle or whatever, but just the way it ended between a fumble and the touchdown, and then them getting up to the lead and everything.
Yeah, we just lost our composure. And tried to get everybody settled down, and obviously we didn't do that because then they went out there and drove the length of the field and scored, and then we went 3 and out offensively, and so we had to do a better job getting our team under control and adjusting for halftime.
Jack Sobel from the Manager. Go ahead.
Coach, from your perspective, what went wrong at the end of the first half? Not with the fight, but with the 2 touchdowns for Tony and the fumble where it kind of snowballed out of control for you guys.
Yeah, we got into a 3rd and 1 situation. We tried to tempo them, and they held us up. And, looked like our left tackle got beat across face with a defensive stunt. And so the tailback was trying to jump cut at the same time that the quarterback was trying to pull it from the defensive end coming down a crash. And, when that happens, you got one guy pulling one way and one guy going the other. It's typically a fumble. So, we got to do a better job not allowing penetration and can't turn it over. And then we busted the coverage. Well, it looked like we went cover 3.
I'm sorry, I was just going to ask if you had a good view if that was more on Tyler. O'Connor was trying to pull it there, and it just bad timing.
Yeah, it was. We were Connor was definitely trying to pull it, and the problem is when you're making the jump cut 4 yards deep in the backfield, you're feeling like the quarterback is giving it, and he's really trying to pull it. So he's trying to clamp down on the ball and just create an issue.
All right, last one's going to come from Eric Blum.
Eli, I'm curious if you've been in a situation like what happened at halftime before and how you brought your team together, or what happened as a result of that in previous.
As a head coach, I experienced something like that in 2013 at Western Kentucky. I thought our team did a nice job of not retaliating or doing anything in the second half, but obviously we didn't have the focus that we needed to in order to come back to win. So got to work on it.
All right, guys, that is Eli Drinkwitz from Gainesville, Florida. Missouri, a 41 to 17 loser. Sorry, I had to look back at number 10 Florida in the Swamp tonight. Apologize for the audio issues. They were not on our end. That was on the end from the stadium. Everybody was having the same issues, all that. And real quick, before we get into the postgame, and there's the number. You can call us anytime, 573-234-4935. I'll take your guys' calls as long as you want. But, like, I just got to show you guys this because I'm in awe that this was a thing that happened, and now I got to find my screenshot. There it is. So this is Dan Mullen tonight. He did his post-game press conference as Darth Vader, and, like, look, I get that it's Halloween, and I get that maybe that was planned before the game, but when that game goes the way it went, when you are sprinting across the field, and I want to be clear, like, the hit by Trajan Jeffcoat, I think, started this. But Dan Mullen threw a match on the gas, right? Or threw gas on the fire, I guess is the way you would say it. Dan Mullen's running across the field yelling at Missouri players, and Eli Drinkwitz says, I have no idea why. And I believe it because he probably didn't see Trajan Jeffcoat's hit live because I didn't see it live. You know, so when that game goes the way it did, you don't dress up as damn Darth Vader doing the post-game press conference. All right, so let's jump to the phone line. We got the 573 area code right here, mid-Missouri, starting things off. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe, it's Reagan.
What's up, Reagan? How you doing, man? How's the I believe it was mid-third quarter you switched to vodka, right?
That is correct.
So how's that going, man?
Not great. I'm still not feeling too well. But as was pointed out to me by a Georgia fan, late hits don't always start fights. Dan Mullen definitely exaggerated and exasperated that fight.
Right.
And that is despicable from what is supposed to be a leader of young college kids. Like, there should definitely be a fine, if not some kind of suspension for him.
Yes.
That was just despicable.
Let me be clear. Like, I'm not saying that Trajan Jeffcoat's hit should lead to a brawl, right? It did lead to a brawl. It didn't have to. Like, it was in the game. It was a late hit. I thought it was a little high. I don't know if it was dirty, but I think it was a little bit cheap. But that doesn't have to be followed by what happened at halftime. What happened at halftime happened because Dan Mullen went charging across the field. And, look, right. I think you can... If the defensive line coach does that, or if the quarterback's coach does it, it's bad enough. Dan Mullen, damn head coach, making $6 million a year. That's and look, Trey Williams, get out of the way. You don't need to be doing what you're doing. Markel Utzi, don't throw 27 punches. All that. Everybody looks bad, and I appreciate the way Drinkwitz handled it. But yes, Dan Mullen is the head coach making $6 million a year. That's not. I don't like it.
Yeah, and I don't like how he's handling in the press conference either with the Darth Vader BS either. Mm-hmm. Like, he is not handling this well at all, and that should definitely be that's a problem for Florida.
Dan's had kind of a rough year. He wants 90,000 people in this stadium 3 days before he gets COVID. He's mad that his team has to can't practice on election day, and now he's dressed up as Darth Vader. Look, I think Missouri fans have probably a new coach to not like very much because, I'll be honest, Dan Mullen doesn't seem super likable right now.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Well, Reagan, I appreciate you hanging out with us all game and appreciate the call, man. Thanks for being a part of it.
Thank you.
All right, so we got, I believe, the 931 area code on the phone. You still there with us? 931, you there with me? Okay, we lost him. If you were calling in from 931, please call back. Sorry, I tried to merge the call. I'm not sure if that was on my end or your end that fell apart, but would love to hear from you. All right, we got 314 area code. Who am I talking with?
Hey, Gabe, it's Scott in Virginia.
What's up, Scott? How you doing, man?
I've been better. I mean, this game was...
Probably the last couple of games you were better?
Yeah. I don't understand the wide receiver dilemma currently. You know, like, you got guys that are making plays for you, and then they don't see the field. Instead, you got Hazelton out there who drops first down after first down. Knox typically plays well, but I mean he's dropped quite a few passes, and I agree with what Drink was saying in the post game. That's possibly a touchdown that you drop and you're up 8 points instead of up 1 point, right?
Yeah.
And it just, I feel like the wide receiver position is just so inconsistent on this team. I don't really understand why he's not playing the guys that have proved, that they can catch the ball so far.
No, I agree. We talked about it a lot during the game. I didn't see Barrett Bannister really involved until late third quarter. Didn't see Boo Smith on the field till the fourth quarter. Towski Dove didn't get a target till late third. And look, I'll forgive, the drop by Jalen Knox obviously hurt, but Jalen Knox was making plays as well in that game. You don't want to point all to one guy, but man, Damon Hazelton. I mean, it's happened. He's been healthy for 3 games. It's happened in all 3, really, or 3 of the 4. I'm not sure what those other guys need to do to get more snaps, honestly, because the one game they did looked pretty good. So.
And then the other thing is Dan Mullen's just a Bush League coach. When you're the head coach and you run out on the field, your players are going to follow you. You're their leader. Like you run out there like you were going, and then I don't know if you saw it, but he was just on his post game.
Yeah.
Or it might have been like right after the game he was on the field.
And
he was basically acting like he had no idea what was going on, and he was just like a victim that got caught up in like the scramble. Like the guy's just garbage.
Yeah, I thought the worst part. So you said he's a Bush League coach. I'm going to disagree with you there. He seems like a Bush League person, but he's a good coach, But my biggest problem with him was when he came back out toward the end of halftime and was trying to get the crowd all fired up and all that. I think Dan Mullen's going to get a fine from the league, if not a little bit more, quite honestly, for
I don't
what he
think
did.
he should coach the next game.
Yeah.
I think he should be suspended. He went onto the field and yelled at players.
Yeah.
Like, you can't do that. Like, it's just ridiculous.
100% agree, Scott. Appreciate the call, man. Thanks a lot. We're going to jump now. The 815 area code. Are you still on the line with me?
Yes, sir.
All right. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe. This is Ron in Albuquerque.
Ron, how you doing, man? What's going on?
Yeah, man, that was an ugly game for sure. A lot of things were very ugly. I'm sure this is going to be one that the players want to forget and Drink wants to forget. But I think I'm kind of a macro guy, and I try to look at the big picture here. First I try to take all things into consideration. First year of the Drinkwitz regime. Florida's a really, really good team. I think their only loss to A&M was certainly validated as not the worst loss in the world, but Mizzou definitely shot itself in the foot a couple times. But I guess just my thought that kind of lingers immediately after the game is, they could bounce back from this. And, I don't really know what the Georgia game is going to look like, especially if more players are going to be out as a result of that stupid fight. But, if Drink and boys could kind of get the ship turned around against South Carolina, Arkansas. I'm sure I'm missing a few other like the peer type programs.
Yeah,
I think winning those games are a much more realistic measurement of success for year one of Eli Drinkwitz. What do you think?
Yeah, so your last 4 games are, and I'm not sure I have this in the right order, but I think I do. South Carolina, Arkansas, Mississippi State, Vanderbilt. I think there's a decent chance Missouri's favored in all 4 of those games. Now, look, Georgia's going to be a loss. I mean, it just is. So here's what we do and I say we because I include myself in this. We do this as sports fans, right? After every game, after every good result, we get way too high. And after every bad one, we get way too low. So we come out of the Tennessee game going, oh, my God, this team can't even compete with Tennessee. 0-10's in play, right? And then they beat an LSU team that, frankly, can't stop Hickman's JV. And they beat a Kentucky team that can't move the ball against Hickman's JV. And we go, well, oh, my God, they're going 7-3. And now they lose to a good Florida team. And we go, well, it's over, right? I get it. Like, I'm not blaming anybody. This is what we all do. I do it as a fan too. But yeah, 5-5 is still the goal. 6-4 is in play, but I don't trust this team to be consistent enough to win all 4 of those games. I think they drop at least one. But 5-5, man, that'd be a heck of a first year. I started this season saying if he wins more than 3, it's a really good season. So if he goes 5-5, it's nothing but a damn good season. So, yeah, appreciate the call, Ron. Not sure you're still with me, but I think I do have the 573 area code on the line. You there?
All right, Gabe, it's me again. And I'll be honest, as much of a homer as I am, I expected 3 or 4 wins to be the goal. Mm-hmm. And with the win over Kentucky and then obviously the win over LSU, the expectations changed to 5. And even after tonight, it's still kind of at 5, but yeah. There is a question. Is there more to this offense than the misdirection? Because if the defense is disciplined, they're not falling for it. And there were times where they were able to move it with the ball without misdirection, but still, that seems to be a pretty big component of the offense. And that seems like a pretty big question of if they can do it without that being successful.
Yeah, I mean, that's a big part of it, but I think you also have to understand they're doing it with an offensive line that is undermanned. And today was really the first time since the Alabama game that we saw it being undermanned. That group had overachieved for the last 3 weeks, and then tonight they didn't have Larry Borum. They didn't really have Xavier Delgado most of the night. So I think a bunch of things caught up with them, Reagan, and I appreciate the call back. I've gotten like 3 more calls, so I'm going to try to do my best to run down the list here and find out who I'm talking to. So I'm going to go in order as best as I can. So I think I've got the 918 area code up first. Who am I talking to? Okay, 918 dropped off.
I'm 229.
Okay, I've now got the 513 area code. 513, you there?
Oh, yeah, this is Eric Mullen calling from Cincinnati.
Hey, Eric, how you doing, man? What's going on? 229, I'm going to get to you in a minute, but just hold on with me. We're going to talk to Eric first. What's up, Eric?
So 2 things. First of all, I just read on Twitter, one of the Florida reporters said that Dan Mullen does not expect any more suspensions from the site tonight, which I thought was shocking and kind of surprising that he was so confident so early.
I don't think there will be any more suspensions tonight. I think there will be more suspensions. Look, Markel Utzi ain't playing the next game. I can promise you that. Now, for Florida, I don't know. I haven't broken down the whole film, but I think there will be more suspensions.
And the other question I had is kind of longer term. They've got 64 scholarship players. I mean, getting 25 in the class, and then do transfers count toward that 25? How do they get back to 85 scholarship players?
I'm not sure they can get back to 85 next year. I think it's probably more of a 2-year process. So they can go above 25. I think they can probably go up to about 29, something like that. Transfers, there are ways to do it. I think you can probably get up to about 29. Now, whether that gets them to 85 or not is kind of debatable based on how many guys come back and how many guys take the extra year and all that. But it's more of a 2-year process. There's no question. With all the transfers, all the opt-outs, all the sanctions, all that, it's going to take them a couple years to get to 85. So.
Okay, great. Thanks, Gabe.
All right, Eric, appreciate the call, man. All right, 229, you still with me?
I'm still here.
All right, who am I talking to?
Yeah, this is Aaron, Albany, Georgia.
Appreciate it.
Calling about the wide receivers. It's Chisholm, and is he a disappointment, or is he getting open? I guess my concern is it looks like the backups are better than the starters. But maybe I could be wrong about that.
No, I mean, based on what we've seen, I think that's a fair take, right? With Chisholm through 5 games, is it a little bit of a disappointment? Yes, I think that's fair to say. Now, I'm not going to write the guy off. Hey, he's a D2 transfer. We'll see how it goes the rest of this season and all that. Based on preseason expectations coming out of what they were saying about fall camp, so far it's definitely been disappointing. I don't think there's any question about it. I mean, I think he had 3 touches for like 4 yards tonight. Based on preseason expectations, Damon Hazelton's season has been a disappointment. I don't think there's any question about that. Again, it can change. But all the people, and we were saying it during the game, Boo Smith, Towski Dove, Barrett Bannister, all they did was catch the ball in the 2 games they played. And Missouri won those 2 games. And they kind of took a back seat tonight, and it didn't look very good. Now it's not as simple as just saying if you just played Boo Smith and Towski Dove, they win the game. Obviously not. Nobody's saying that. But also 100% fair to come out of that game saying, why did Damon Hazelton and Kiki Chisholm get more reps than those guys? Because we didn't see it. So I don't really have an answer for you, but I agree with you.
Well, let me ask you this. It's hard to watch. I can't really see receiver play from here. Maybe you had a closer look. Were they getting open, compared to the other receivers? And maybe the quarterback's not getting it, giving them the ball in places where they can catch it?
Well, there were, especially with Hazelton, there were a couple times he was open and they got him the ball and he just dropped it in the first quarter. With Chisholm, I don't know. I don't have – I'm watching the same feed you are, so I don't know. One of the advantages to being at the game is it's basically the all-22 live, and there are times you can see, hey, this guy's wide open, they didn't see him, or whatever. I don't have the ability to see that. I'm sure there are times where a guy's open and he's either not the primary read or the quarterback doesn't find him or whatever. But if you get open enough, eventually they get you the ball, right? They don't miss you every time.
And I guess,
and if you catch the ball.
I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just like, the first game, Chisholm was complaining about not getting the ball.
Mm-hmm.
So, I'm not watching, I'm watching the feed where I'm not, I'm just wondering, am I missing something like in the game tapes when you're talking to the coach? Does he look like he's getting open?
Yeah.
And they're not getting the ball.
And I think, and like, I want to be clear, but, post game, when we get 1 or 2 questions each, that's not the ideal time to ask a question like that. But on Tuesday, if we get to talk to Eli Drinkwitz, I don't know what the schedule will be during the bye week. But one of the questions I think will be, look, these backup receivers who played so well for a couple weeks, the numbers were down, and your starters seem to struggle catching the ball. So is that something you're looking at going forward, or can you give us kind of your rationale for the distribution of snaps going into the game, however we manage to phrase it? That's definitely something that is going to be asked, come the next post-game press conference. And appreciate the call down from Georgia. And let's see, I thought maybe we had somebody on the line. I don't think we have anybody on the line right now. So what I'm going to do, while we have a few minutes, I'm going to dive into some of your all's comments. I appreciate that not everybody is calling the number. Some of you are just commenting on the YouTube page, so we're going to add those in here, and certainly we'll respond to those as we go through. Sounds like Drinkwitz lost his voice after going off on the team. Sounded like his voice was being changed on an audio editor. Yeah, there were a couple audio issues there with the Zoom call afterwards. Don't see how Mullen doesn't get fined. I agree. I think a fine is coming Dan Mullen's way. I don't think there's any question about it. Stryker wants to know how no one asked about the center not snapping the ball when the defense jumped off sides. Look, at the time, that was a big play, right? It was 4th and 1. If you go back, I think that's when it was 7-6, Missouri. If you go back 4th and 1, maybe 4th and 2. But Missouri on the field, defense jumps. Looked like 2 guys jumped. And Javon Foster kind of reached out and reacted, and it looked like they probably should have called offsides then, but they didn't call it. But also, Mike Naetti is a grad transfer center, and we talked about this during the game at the time, so this is not revisionist history or anything. He's got to snap the ball, because you just snap the ball, you get a free play. It's offsides. It doesn't matter what happened. You got a first down. And clearly Drinkwitz was mad about that. He was screaming at Naetti, snap the ball. Well, then he was also screaming the officials for not calling it. Then he ended up sending the punt team on the field, which I disagreed with. But more to Stryker's question, why do you not ask about that after the game? Again, we get 8 minutes with the coach. The story was, what the hell happened with the fight? What did you and Dan Mullen talk about the fight? why could your offense not stop them, and why could your defense not move the ball? The truth is, while you can invent a scenario in your head where converting that fourth down changes the entire game, they got beat 41-17, and one failure to snap a ball on 4th and 2 in the second quarter probably didn't ultimately change the outcome. But honestly, by the time of the postgame press conference, I kind of forgot it had happened, because one play in that game wasn't the overarching issue. I mean, could it have been asked? I guess so. I think so. And I understand at the time it seemed like a big play. But when you are doing this and we're getting about 10 minutes afterwards, nobody's getting more than 2 questions, you got to focus on the things that probably ultimately had a bigger impact. You couldn't catch the ball. You couldn't move the ball. How'd the quarterback play? Why'd they move the ball so well on you? Where'd you struggle with Kadarius Toney? What happened with the fight? Those are bigger issues in this game, I think, than why the center didn't snap the ball. And I'm not trying to disrespect the question. I get it. But just trying to explain kind of from this side the way we go about doing our jobs after a game, especially a night game where the coach is kind of rushed. He's probably kind of pissed off because his team didn't play well and got beat. Just kind of explaining what a common thing we hear is, why don't you ask the hard questions, or why didn't you ask this, or why didn't you ask that? I'm just trying to give you guys insight into why nobody asked that tonight, because in the grand scheme of things, to write about this game, to tell the story of this game, that play probably wasn't a major part of it, to be quite honest with you. So before I jump back into the comments, and again, want to invite you guys. I know we've missed a couple calls. Like, we try to add everybody, we try to catch up, but we can only take one call at a time. So if we missed you and you want to be a part of it, please do call back in. Appreciate those of you who are here. Hope we keep adding some people. Maybe I know it's not as fun to talk about as maybe the last couple weeks have been, but there still is plenty of stuff to talk about, plenty to break down, how it affects the rest of the season, all that. But before we do that, once again, all throughout the day, to be able to do this, we needed to go out and have some sponsors help us out, and kind of had to buy a whole bunch of new equipment, do a bunch of things, make sure this was going to be worth the time to do. So we got sponsors to do that. We started the morning with the Burger Smokehouse. Well, I guess it was afternoon, but Burger Smokehouse at-home tailgate show. Then Colin Gentry Law Group sponsored the game watch along, and this is the Boulevard Brewing Company post-game drink. And Boulevard just hooked me up with let's just say supplies for a little while. So the show is supplied. Tonight's, once again, we've been picking out opponent-specific drinks all season long. I think we've done a good job kind of making the drink fit the theme. Tonight's is the single wide, let me turn that right, the single wide IPA. As I said, Gainesville, Florida, University of Florida, it has a little bit of a reputation, right? The jorts, things like that, the white jeans, like that's the thing other SEC fans say about Florida. That's why I picked out the single wide IPA. I'm not sure Dan Mullen did a lot to disabuse Missouri fans of the reputation that Florida has tonight. Look, the main story in this game is Missouri got its tail beat. No question. They weren't good enough. Florida, better team, all that. The secondary story is there was a big brawl at halftime, and the Florida head coach was a big part of starting it. So we're going to talk about all that. Dan Mullen, again, did his press conference dressed as Darth Vader. We're going to show that to you again. It's there's Dan Mullen dressed as Darth Vader doing his post-game press conference. Read the room, Dan. Like, come on, man. Be a grown-up. What are we doing here? You're the head coach. You make millions of dollars. I don't want to be the angry opposing media guy who's making this the story. I'm not. The story is Missouri got beat pretty badly. Florida's a good team and all that. But this is a part of the story. And Dan Mullen, frankly, he doesn't seem very likable, honestly. And I think he may think there's no further repercussions coming. I think there's further repercussions coming. And I think there's further repercussions coming for Missouri, too. Markel Lutzy was out there throwing haymakers. I don't think the dude should have played in the second half, but he did. Trey Williams got kicked out of this game. Now, the interesting part is, does that mean he's out for the next game? Because the rule is if you get ejected in the second half, you're out for the next game. We didn't get ejected in the second half, but he also didn't get ejected in the first half. I'll be interested to see what Drinkwitz says to Trajan Jeffcoat about his hit after watching film. It was late, without question. I don't know if it was dirty, but it was late. It should have drawn a flag. And I think this is all really taken away from the fact that in the last 7 minutes of that first half, Missouri just melted down. I mean, after that 4th and 1, after they, didn't draw Florida offsides correctly, then they decide to punt. Florida goes down, scores. It's fine. It's whatever. It's 13-7. It happens. Then Missouri fumbles on a play where, frankly, Connor Bazelak just tried to keep the ball in the running back's gut a little bit too long. Pulled it, fumbled. Florida scores again. 20-7. Missouri, then ends up having to punt the ball. I think I've got this right. Florida gets it back. You think it's halftime. Offsides. You think it's halftime again. There's another penalty. Then, even after it finally actually was halftime, Jeffcoat probably should have been flagged for a late hit, and Florida probably should have gotten a field goal attempt. Those last 6 minutes were dreadful. Coaching, execution, offense, defense, discipline. It was all trash in the last 7 minutes of the first half. It just was. So we'll talk about that too. And again, happy to, maybe you guys are just pissed off and don't want to talk about it. Maybe you're all drunk, whatever. But if you're up and you want to talk about it, please do give me a call, 573-234-4935. I'll keep going through the comments, obviously, and appreciate those of you who are joining us that way who maybe don't want to do the call in, but are just making the comments, and we can do this. Chalk this up to our offensive line being beat like a redheaded stepchild, right? I'm not sure that is terminology you can still use, but yes, that certainly is a part of this. The offensive line tonight looked closer to the offensive line that we expected to see. Coming out of fall camp, I've said this a number of times. The way Eli Drinkwitz talked about the offensive line, I wasn't sure Missouri was going to get a first down. They're changing guys in and out, and no experience and no depth and questionable talent and this and that. And those guys overachieved for first half of the Bama game was bad, but second half of the Bama game until tonight, that group had overachieved. And then Larry Borum's out tonight, and Xavier Delgado's out tonight, and Dylan Spencer struggled in his place. Zeke Powell eventually got replaced with Bobby Lawrence tonight, so you're missing 3 starters off a group that already had some questions against a Florida defense that is better than it's looked for the first month of the season. So, kind of combination, right? The offensive line came back to earth. Florida's defense rose a little bit. All right, we're on the line with 615 area code. Who am I talking to?
Hey, Gabe, it's Andy in Nashville.
What's up, Andy? I love your city, man. What's going on?
It's good, man. Hey, I called in week 1, about the quarterback situation. I think what I saw tonight is, the inexperience of Connor Bazelak definitely caught up. Big SEC, team. But, my question for you is just with the offense, I know the receivers have been an issue, but kind of going forward, what are some of the optimistic parts that we can look forward to besides just Larry Roundtree and, Tyler Beatty kind of holding the backfield pretty well, but, just thoughts there.
Yeah, Jalen Knox definitely shows flashes. He's not 100% consistent yet, but he's a guy that, he's the best receiver on this team. He's a guy you like. Bazelak, I think a couple things can be true at the same time. I think there's a lot to like there, and he's going to have a lot of good days. And a lot of people let themselves become convinced that because the last 2 weeks went really well, it was just going to be this linear progression where it was up, up, up without any bumps in the road and stops, right? I mean, tonight was a reminder this is a kid starting his 4th college game who there's going to be nights where he looks like a kid starting his 4th college game. And like, irrespective of, yes, there were drops, yes, the line was bad, I thought Bazelak also wasn't very good tonight. So you combine all 3 of those things. I think what we saw tonight was what you get when you play poorly against a good team. You know, it all kind of was like all stars aligned to line up and give you the worst possible result Missouri could get out of going to Florida. When Florida played well on offense, Missouri played poorly, and that's what you get.
Yeah, I still think there's a lot of optimism from it.
100%.
Like, yeah.
Yeah, they have a chance to finish this year 500, possibly even better. I mean, yeah, tonight sucked, but most teams have a night that sucks at some point during the year, right? I don't think this doesn't change anything long term, doesn't even change anything about the season. It just means this week kind of sucks, and now you have an extra week to think about it because you're on a bye next week.
Yeah. Well, no, appreciate it, Gabe, and love the show, so thanks.
All right, appreciate you calling in, Andy. Thanks a lot, man. And we'll continue to take any of your guys' calls. I know there was one from 573. Might have been Reagan again, but I don't know. Something happened there. Don't know if you hung up or I hung up. But, again, we try to get to everybody as quickly as we can, and certainly appreciate you guys taking the time. But we'll go back to some of the comments and roll through them. Mullen is a dirtbag. Drinkwitz handled the press conference better than I expected. Yeah, look, I give Drinkwitz credit. He obviously was – nobody's happy when your team plays that way. But he said all the right things. And, look, I give him the benefit of the doubt and believe him when he said, I didn't see what happened. At halftime, we'll look at the film and we'll figure it out. But, hey, their coaches came screaming across. And all right, 573 again. Who's on the line?
Hey, Gabe, it's Reagan. You were absolutely right. I was trying not to hog it too much.
Oh, no, you're good, man. Don't worry about it. We'll we get everybody in, so appreciate you calling back, man.
The offensive line was a little troubling. Obviously, it's not, Borum was out, Delgado was out, but how long are they going to be out? Like, how long do Spencer and Foster have to fill in? It's the question. And obviously against Georgia, it doesn't really matter. Right. But for the rest of the season, it kind of matters.
Yeah, I think the goal –
they can make a difference.
I think the goal is be healthy for those last 4 games. And the truth is, I don't think Eli Drinkwitz is going to tell us, because he kind of told us on Tuesdays when we talked to him. He said on Tuesday, yeah, I watched a press conference yesterday where nobody was really said anything, so I'm not going to say anything either. So he's taken on this mantra of and I give him credit for playing it right, because I don't think he really wants to tell us, but he presents it in a way that says, I mean, I'd really like to tell you guys who's hurt, but the other coach isn't telling you, so I just can't tell you, right? I give him credit for framing it right. I don't think any of them want to tell us.
Of course.
Yeah, we don't know how long sometimes even when we think guys are out for a long time, they aren't. Like Jatorian Hansford, at one point, he told us he was out for the season. Well, he played tonight.
Yeah.
Darius Robinson.
That shocked the hell out of me.
Yeah, Darius Robinson was going to be out till after the bye, and he played tonight, I think. I know he at least made the trip. Look, injuries, I mean, it's impossible to know how long Borum's out, how long Delgado's out. They know, but they're not going to tell us. But you're right. Like, the key is, to me, Georgia, you just go right now. Hey, look, they're going to get beat by Georgia. I mean, they just are. I'm not saying it's impossible. You play the game, you do your best, all that. I'm not saying the team just doesn't try. But you're probably going to be 2-4. Your season is on those last 4 games, right? I mean, what can you get done in those last 4 games? And to me, even if they only win 2 of them, 4-6 that's a solid debut season. I said before the year, anything more than 3 was good. So as long as they win 2 of those last 4, yeah, I think it's okay. You win more than that, you talk about 500, and there's a lot of things to like. It's just hard to see on a night like tonight.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Your answer good. Yep. Appreciate it.
Appreciate it, Reagan. Thanks, man. Thanks for calling. Going to keep rolling through some of the comments, and again, invite any of you to call that want to. I've been talking about this game for 6.5 hours now, so you've kind of heard what I think about it, but more interested in what you guys think about it. I mean, really, if you think about it, it's daylight saving time tonight. It's really only 10:15, so, I know you guys are up. You're drinking. I'm up. I'm drinking, so feel free to call in. We'll talk about it. But back to Sir Mufflebun saying Drinkwitz handled the press conference better than I expected and was kind of in the middle of this when Reagan called. But, yeah, he said all the right things. I thought he handled it well. Look, I don't condone it. I don't like it. It's embarrassing. It's not what we want to do. I don't know what happened. The film will tell us all that. He said everything I think you'd want a coach to say. And I believe him. I'll be interested to see what he says on Tuesday. Again, if we talk to him, if we don't talk to him Tuesday, on Wednesday on the SEC teleconference, be interested to see his thoughts. I think there's going to be a couple guys that suffer some repercussions. Again, I don't think Markel Utsey plays the next game. I don't think Chad Bailey probably plays the next game. To me, it looked like there were quite a few guys in that scrum throwing punches, more than just a couple on each team, but I haven't gone back and broken it down like the Zapruder film, like the SEC will. So we'll see what comes out of it. But I definitely think there are going to be some things that happen. Let's see. David, big fan of Dan Mullen. Case is a big fan of Dan Mullen. Yeah, I don't know if Mullen will get suspended for the Georgia game. I don't think he'll get suspended. I think he's going to get fined, though. I think his pocket's going to be a bit lighter. I mean, they fined Lane Kiffin $25,000 when they told him he was right, so we'll see. Yeah, I think Utsey's out for the Georgia game, almost certainly. Trey Williams, like I said, man, it's interesting. He didn't throw a punch that I saw. So is that deemed something that happened in the second half or the first half? I don't know. I'm not sure. Trey Williams is a much bigger question than Utsey. Utsey, there's no question. He's going to be out, and he should be out. Honestly, if he gets more than one game, I don't have a problem with it. Dude was out there throwing haymakers. And, look, I don't know. Markel's always seemed like a good enough guy. We played an interview with him on our pregame show. Seemed fine. But that you can't have that. If the SEC doesn't suspend him, his coach ought to suspend him. And I think I was probably too hard on Drinkwitz in the game watch along at halftime. But look, that's sometimes when you're acting live, that's what happens. I thought he handled postgame well. Was impressed with what he said, with how he said it, all that. And now we'll see what he does going forward. But this is a moment where you kind of, you can control your program a little bit. You can control the direction things are going to go over the next little bit. So, impressed with the coach tonight, and not impressed it happened. We had a chat during the game, and I think two things can be true. That was a group of players who had a lot of issues last year, right? With penalties and discipline and all that. And so I don't think you come in to just fix all that in a month. But also, this is now his team. And if he's going to get credit for some of the things that went well over the first month, then he also gets blamed for things that went poorly tonight. And he is taking that. I don't want this to seem like he is shirking that off. He is 100% standing up there saying, I wasn't good enough and I got to fix this and that and blah, blah, blah. So I credit him. I think among fans, there's a tendency to say, well, the behavior and the bad stuff, that's the last regime. And he just hadn't had time to fix that. He can't change who they are. But the good things, he gets all the credit for that. And it just doesn't work that way. Like, when you are the head coach, you get all the good and you get all the bad. Or you get none of the good and you get none of the bad, whatever. And you can decide how much of that. But I'm just saying, if you get the good, you also get the bad. And so Eli Drinkwitz wears what happened tonight at halftime. Now, I don't think he wears it after seeing the replay quite as much as Dan Mullen wears it, but, he does certainly wear it. So let's go back to the phones now. 573, who am I talking with?
Hey, it's Justin.
What's up,
Hail
Justin?
Satan,
How you doing?
Gabe, hail Satan. Boy, I gotta say, did Zeke Powell get pulled?
I think.
And
I think
like.
he did.
Okay. I like fights. I think fights are hilarious. Uzi looked like he was throwing jabs.
Yeah.
He looked like Joe Frazier, and it was hilarious because he's hitting a guy with a helmet on.
Right.
And, did you see Dan Mullen's khakis too? Oh my goodness. Those are the worst pants I've ever seen.
It was hilarious and not hilarious at the same time, right? Like we all think it's kind of funny. I'm glad it happened. It was the most interesting thing that happened tonight. But also, like, if you're a fan of the team or the coach of the team going forward, you're kind of going, man, that's a pretty bad look. Right?
Oh, of course, if you're the coach, but if you're the fan, it's hilarious. I mean, that was the most fun I had was watching the fight.
Oh, I agree.
I mean, horrible.
If I could get a hold of the all 22 of that, I would actually just write a breakdown of the fight this week because, it was way better than anything. The game sucked.
Yeah.
The fight,
horrible.
like the only bad thing about the fight was it made the damn game 20 minutes longer because they didn't start halftime until everybody was off the field. And then Dan Mullen came back out on the field.
Dan Mullen, hilarious. So that guy's funny. Those pants. Oh my goodness.
Bad pants.
I can barely watch
I'm going to have to go back
pants.
and look at his pants. I didn't notice his pants.
They're not good. They're kind of hardball, but they kind of like had some elastic to them. I don't know. They didn't look good.
Okay.
Not flattering.
Okay. Well,
I was looking more at his pants. So,
I'm impressed.
All right, Gabe, take it easy.
All right, Justin, I appreciate the call. Justin seemed to have put a lot of thought into this, man. I really am. I'm not even joking. I'm very impressed. These are the kind of insights that I thoroughly enjoy. I think I got Reagan back on the line. What's up, man?
That is correct. All right, I wasn't going to talk anymore about the fight, but it came up. But I don't think it should be ignored. The fact that late hits happen, as was pointed out to me. Mullen exacerbated the fight. He is a grown-ass man. I am 22 years old. I'm a senior in college. I am seemingly more mature than him because I would not have started a fight over that, and I certainly wouldn't have encouraged my players to continue to try and fight the Missouri players or aggravate them in some way. I would have just taken them to the locker room. I am a 22-year-old senior in college. He is, 40-something years old, 50-something years old? Just take your players to halftime. Don't fight. As entertaining as it might have been, it was disgusting on both sides and inexcusable.
No, I agree. And like Justin was saying, as fans, we can think both things, right? We can think it was hilarious and also, oh my God, like that shouldn't happen.
Right.
So yeah, we think both things. Yeah, I mean, definitely a worse look for Mullen than for Drinkwitz. I think, and I think that will come out over the next few days. I mean, again, as I said during the game, like, dude, you're the head coach and you're making $6 million. What the hell are you doing?
Yeah.
Bad look.
The coming out of the tunnel and the hyping up the crowd.
That was the part that irritated me.
Certainly didn't help.
Yeah. That coming back up and waving to the crowd, and then going as Darth Vader. Yeah, like, I don't know, man. Maybe he's the football version of Don Staley. And I don't actually have anything against Don Staley. I don't pay enough attention, honestly, to have a lot against Don Staley, but I know that's who the Missouri fans have decided they hate. Maybe Dan Mullen's the football version of that, right? So, okay, that's cool. You got a villain now. Now, it'd probably be better if the villain coached somewhere that Missouri might beat a little bit more, but whatever. So appreciate it, Reagan. Gonna hit another call now. So I got somebody else from 573. Who am I talking to?
Mac Rhodes.
Who?
Mac Rhodes. That's my power, Mizzou.
Mac Rhodes. Okay, what's going on, man? How you doing?
Good. Hey, I used to be an a college referee and back judge. And I think what they should have done to stop this crap is make both teams forfeit right then. That's it. Game's over, boys.
Yeah.
And,
I mean, you can't do that, though.
Am I talking to Gabe?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, good. Well, I think you do that. I think you take the gang mentality out of the game. Couple points that I would like to say. Number one, I do think that offensive line who looked great against Kentucky looked horrible against Florida. And Florida's
Right.
just a lot quicker than Kentucky. Kentucky had these big 350-pound sleep apnea candidates for D linemen that couldn't move. The second thing, that number one is he and number 18 or 17 on Alabama are athletes that we don't have.
Yeah, Kadarius Toney, that kid's going to make a lot of money on Sundays.
Yeah, Trask, I'm not that impressed with.
Really?
No, I'm not. I think he's playing with a bunch of all-stars. I mean, you got to remember when somebody has that number one as a safety valve from a wheel route, he goes. I mean, that one sequence at the end of the first half where he literally ran through Nick Bolton and the rest of our defensive backfield, it was unbelievable. That was the end of the game right there. When he did that, you could see that our players knew that we can't keep up with him.
Yeah.
And
yeah, I thought maybe if they'd gotten a stop on the first drive of the third quarter, they had a chance to keep it a game, but then they didn't, and it was 27-7. It was definitely over.
You know, our wide receivers got to catch the ball. You just can't drop them. We don't have a margin for error. I do think it was a really bad call though when that kid jumped off sides and touched our guard, and they didn't call offsides. That was enough. You know, they say 3 to 5 plays make a difference in the game. That was one of them. The one where number one ran through our defense at the end of and then the fumble right before half, and we were going for it. And that was it.
Yeah. Every game, you can go back and pick out 3 to 5 plays, like you said, that changed the game. And now there's no way to know if they call that penalty, right? Everything, what changes after that, who knows? But yeah, it definitely, not only the penalty, but like your center has to know to snap that ball. If either of those things happen, you get the first down.
Here's how Utley doesn't get suspended. They say it was Sean Kettering.
Well, then who's going to kick off, though?
So how does that make a difference, really? I don't. He's a hell of a kicker, though, really.
Yeah, he's done a nice job.
I just hope we get a little more team speed. I think that's the real area where we really lack it. I mean, you see Beatty. He's our only athlete. He and Knox.
I would say Beatty and Knox are the two guys that have speed to play with the SEC's elite team right now.
And what's wrong with Parker?
I'm not sure. They didn't say. I don't want to speculate on injuries. Because I just I want to do a little bit more check-in with some people. But I think it's injury related. I don't think it's COVID related or anything like that. So we'll see what we can find out over the next couple of days. May not be a ton because with the bye coming out, they might be, it might be pretty tough to get much information. But I don't think it's like a long-term thing or at least a season ending, anything like that. I think he'll be back at some point, but I thought even before this he was losing some snaps to Nico Hay, so it'd be interesting to see where he goes.
He doesn't look as powerful. He doesn't look as quick as he was. He's not improved. By the way, Swinson, is it Messiah Swinson?
Yeah.
He was throwing punches, so I think you can add him to the list.
Well, that's probably good news for a guy that doesn't even get on the field to be throwing punches. All right. Well,
thanks.
Appreciate it, man. Thanks a lot for the call. All right. So again, thanks to everybody who's called in, and if you still want to, more than happy to take it and to talk about what you guys want to talk about. Going to keep running through and try to catch up here. Let me see where we left off. Sir Mufflebuns more mad about Mullen than the actual game. I mean, it's easier to be mad at the other guy than be mad at your own team and admit they got their tail beat up and down the field. I get it. Drink saying one of their coaches is on their hash, and I don't know why. That's pretty harsh in coach speak. I also thought it was pretty interesting when I asked him about his conversations with Dan Mullen after the game that he said, at halftime, it wasn't real pleasant. I mean, there's something there, guys. Drinkwitz didn't say it, but he said it in the way coaches say it, right? Like, yeah, he came charging across the field yelling at my guys, and I don't really get it. I don't know if you remember one of them. So I don't know how many people will remember this, but this is legitimately maybe my favorite all-time moment covering a Missouri basketball game. This Mike Anderson's first year back at Mizzou Arena as Arkansas's head coach. Frank Hayes' first year with the really good team, right? And there was a moment, I think it was Anderson's first year back. Could have been year 2, but I think it was his first year back. There was a moment where I legitimately thought Frank Haith and Mike Anderson were going to fight. Like, Haith went running to midcourt, and his guys had to kind of pull him back. And I thought it was the greatest thing I'd ever seen. And I'll get back to this story in just a second. We got a phone call. What's going on?
So how crucial, it's Reagan again. So how crucial is that South Carolina game after the Georgia game? Like, we've already talked about it. Like that, yeah. You want to perform your best, but that's a loss. But how crucial is that South Carolina game after the Georgia game become? I just think the last 4, you've got to win at least 2. You'd love to win 3, right? I mean, you'd love to win 4, but 3-1 would make it unquestioned success. I don't want to put too much on any one game. I just want to look at those 4 and say you've got a minimum go 2-2. And losing South Carolina doesn't mean you can't win 2 of the last 3. Winning South Carolina doesn't mean you're going to win any of the last, right? So I would look at those games more as kind of just a group of 4 rather than just putting it on that one game. So, but even without winning it, you still want to see something. You want them to be competitive and to not.
Yes.
You don't want to get blown out, right? Or you don't not even blown out. But if they lose by a couple of scores, that's a bad look to South Carolina. Yeah, you don't want to go get blown out by a team that's not very good. The key for Missouri or for Kentucky or for Tennessee or for South Carolina is separate yourselves. At least compete with those other teams, and then preferably separate yourselves from them. You don't judge yourselves right now against Georgia and Florida. Eventually, you hope to, but you can't right now. You got to judge yourselves against Tennessee, against Kentucky, against South Carolina. So they've beaten Kentucky. They've lost to Tennessee. So that South Carolina thing is kind of the swing game, right? Do you go 1-2 or 2-1 against that group? Those are your peers in this league right now. And so let's or at least in this division. So, that South Carolina game is big to kind of see where you stack up in that group. 100%. All right, Reagan. Thanks, man. Thanks for the answer. All right, appreciate it. All right, so I want to get back to this Mike Anderson, Frank Hayes story. So, and why tonight reminded me of it. So Haith is charging toward midcourt, and support staff, whatever, somebody grabs him and pulls him back. I legitimately thought there was going to be a fight. Only game I've ever covered. I thought the coaches are going to fight, and it's going to be phenomenal. And so basically what happened was Phil had, I think, made a 3. Phil Pressey had made a 3. And Mike Anderson, he knew Phil's family, obviously. He played with his dad, recruited Phil to Missouri, all that. Said something to him. I don't know what it was. Said something to him. In what Mike Anderson says is just like a, kind of playful, competitive manner. Frank Haith was pissed about it. It's like, you don't talk to my players. He's charging Mike Anderson in midcourt.
I'm still kind of disappointed that he didn't get to Mike Anderson. Like, I would probably have taken Anderson in the fight because I don't know. I think Mike Anderson's got something there that I wouldn't mess with. But I'm still a little disappointed we didn't actually get to see it. But so that's what tonight was like. Dan Mullen is charging across the field, and Drinkwitz is like, you don't talk to my players, man. And so I give Drinkwitz credit for not escalating it more than he could have, as he could have. But, he made his point in the post-game press conference. He said it without saying it. One of their coaches, we all know which one. He didn't say which one, but we all know which one. Was coming across the field talking to my guys. You don't do that. You don't talk to the other coaches' guys. And I don't know why he was. Now, we'll look at the film. Film will tell us why he was. But as of now, I don't really know why he was. He made his point. I thought he did it pretty well, to be quite honest. So, rolling through some of the comments, Drinkwitz going to be real good for Mizzou. Just give him time. Like, yeah, I think so. Tonight is... I think he's got a chance to. Tonight doesn't change that. Rough night for Damon Hazelton. No question about that. This game didn't really change the outlook for the season, right? No, it didn't. You're right, Lefty. Nah. Tonight didn't change the outlook for the season. And I say that as somebody who actually picked Missouri to win this morning. I didn't necessarily really believe it, but I picked it. And, no, I don't think tonight changes much. They should not suspend players without suspending Mullen. I think more likely than a suspension for Mullen is a fine. Guy makes a lot of money. I think he's going to lose some of it, but I'm not sure he'll be suspended. What changed with Hansford? Yeah, we have no idea. I mean, I don't know. So basically what happened with Jatorian Hansford was we knew he was hurt at one point. And so going into, I think, week 2 against Tennessee, I asked Drinkwitz if there was an update about Jatorian Hansford. He said, yeah, I already told you guys he was out for the year. Well, I don't think he'd ever really actually told us that, but whatever. Okay, he's out for the year. We just assumed he's out for the year. Now he's back, week 5. Who knows, man? Look, trying to guess what's going on with injury information, it's tough. The Knox drop was huge. Could have really made a difference. It was huge. I don't think it was going to be a touchdown, but it was a big drop. Reagan, what's up, man?
All right. Yeah, I know I'm calling in a lot, but
that's all right.
I still believe in Drink, and I believe in him and getting his players in and whatever. But at the same time, Connor has shown that he can make plays. Tyler Beatty and Larry Roundtree are known, we know they can make plays. Jalen Knox, he had the big drop, but we know he can make plays. If he can't make it work with those guys, how are we to be sure he can make it work with his guys? And just to be clear, I still think he can. I'm just asking the question.
Yeah, Reagan, and I'm going to add another call here. I'll answer your question. I'm just going to add this call. Look, you can't be sure, right? I mean, nobody's sure. 832 area code. Hang on with me. I'm finishing up answering this question here, and then we'll get to you. Nobody's sure that he's going to make it work. But I mean, you got to give him the chance, right? I mean, a lot of promising results in the first 4 weeks. Tonight doesn't change that. I mean, yeah, it sucks tonight. But hey, they're off weeks, but these aren't, like you said, these aren't even the guys he recruited. He's taken somebody else's pieces and making it work in his system the best he can. The results so far have been pretty promising. Like, he's doing it really without an offensive line or many receivers, without the quarterback he recruited, even though there's a chance he's a pretty good quarterback, So, yeah, I don't think you look at it and go, well, man, based on tonight, I have doubts. Tonight's a bad night at the office, man. It happens. So, All right, Reagan, appreciate it, man. We're going to jump to the 832 area code. Who am I talking to?
Oh, you're talking to Patrick. How are you?
Not bad. What's up, Patrick? How you doing, man?
All right. Hey, I apologize. I just got on, so you may have already answered this. But Boo Smith, did he travel with the team? I don't remember seeing him playing at all. Just wondering if something may have happened there.
No, I saw him on the field mid fourth quarter. So he was there, but that was the first time I saw him on the field. And yeah, like we don't really know why. And again, that's more of a like on Tuesday or Wednesday when we talk to Drinkwitz. That's probably something we'll ask because just post game, not really the right time when you're limited to kind of 7-8 minutes. But it absolutely a fair because we were talking about it during the game, right? Okay, Hazelton can't catch the ball. Chisholm has 3 touches for 4 yards. Where's Bannister? Where's Boo Smith? Where's Towski Dove? These are the guys who, like, look, they helped you beat LSU. They didn't do anything to hurt you against Kentucky, and all of a sudden now their snaps seem to have gone back down. And fair question, absolutely, and something that I think stood out to anybody watching tonight.
Yeah, absolutely. I think you can't make too many mistakes when you're playing against a team like Florida, and the 3 and outs. And it's like I posted during the game, just the drive killers from the drop balls. You just can't do that against Florida when the talent level is stacked against you. It just can't happen.
Yeah, and I think tonight was, and I said this earlier, I think tonight was the result that you get when you play poorly against a good team. I mean, no facet of Missouri's game was good enough tonight. I mean, even they had a touchback on a punt. They had a penalty on a kickoff return. Harrison Mevis missed a field goal. The defense gave up 500 yards. The offense couldn't move the football. Like, just top to bottom, nowhere were they good enough to win tonight. And when you do that against a good team, game's going to be over mid-third quarter like it was.
Yep, absolutely. No, I was saying to a buddy of mine, they had the 3 and outs, allowed Florida to drive down. They got 6 points, and then you get the pick 6. At that point, you're done with 3 and outs. You can't have them anymore. You can't. You've used them up at that point. Florida is going to get back on track, and they're going to keep scoring, and they're going to get touchdowns. They're not going to get field goals, and you're going to find behind if you keep going that route. And Missouri just couldn't stop doing it. So
I think going into this game, we would have said to win, Missouri has to play well, and Florida has to be a little bit off, right? I think Florida was a little bit off, but Missouri played very poorly. So the result is what it was.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Absolutely. Appreciate it, Gabe. Thank you
Appreciate
very much.
it, Patrick. Thanks for hanging out with us all day, man. Patrick's one of the guys that was with us certainly during the game chat, and would invite all you guys who are here to join us pregame, during the game, postgame, all that. We make it a full day experience. We've been going about 7 hours now, and going to continue to make my way through the comments for real quick. And if we get any more calls while we're doing this, I will take them. Certainly, we'll go till the calls and comments are done. Trying to see where I'm at. Okay, looking at the video, 33, 6, 4, 90, 15, and 99 could all be suspended for Missouri. Okay, so 33 I know is Chad Bailey. 6 is Kiki Chisholm. 90 is Markel Utze. 99 is Isaiah McGuire. 4 is Jelani Williams. If it's on defense, if it's on offense, I think it's Elijah Young. 15, I'm not sure. Off the top of my head, I've got a roster here. Hang on. Okay, so 4. Yeah, 4 on offense is Elijah Young. On defense is Jelani Williams. 15 is either Chris Abrams-Drain, wide receiver, or Johnny Walker Jr., a defensive lineman. Both are true freshmen. So, I mean, look, I'll trust Stryker. I haven't gone back and looked at the video yet, but if those are the guys you're talking about, Chad Bailey plays a little bit. Kiki Chisholm obviously plays a fair amount. Jelani Williams plays a little bit. Elijah Young plays a little bit, whichever one of those is number 4. Markel Utzi obviously plays quite a bit. Look, we all saw his role in that. He's going to be suspended. Chris Abrams-Drain or Johnny Walker, whichever 15, neither one of them plays all that much. 99, Isaiah McGuire plays a fair amount. So, again, I haven't gone back and looked at it. We'll certainly get more information on that in the next couple days. But I'm trusting Stryker, who's been with us all day, and I think probably did go back and look at the video, which I haven't yet. So, those are guys who we might look out for. All right. So in memory of the old Big 8, tell us your favorite Billy Tubbs story and a good Norm story too. I don't want to get too deep in the woods on basketball, but yeah, Billy Tubbs. Look, guys, I'll just say this the best Billy Tubbs story is obviously taking the mic at Lloyd Noble. And I didn't cover Billy Tubbs. I was a kid who watched Billy Tubbs teams, but Mookie Blaylock's my favorite college basketball player ever. That 1988 Oklahoma team with Stacey King, Dave Seeger, Mookie Blaylock, man, I love that team. Just phenomenal. I was devastated when they lost to KU in the national title game, not only because I didn't want KU to win, but I loved Oklahoma. I had a Keith Jackson jersey growing up. Between Barry Switzer and Billy Tubbs, I wanted to go to OU as a kid, man. Billy Tubbs was my favorite of those Big 8 coaches among Johnny Orr, Danny Nee, Larry Brown, and then Roy. That was Big 8 basketball was. That was what made me a sports fan growing up. Billy Tubbs, obviously, it's topical. He's in a hospice now. Man, love that guy. So many great players at OU, so many great teams, so fun to watch. Put up so many points. So obviously, Billy Tubbs, a guy that anybody my age grew up watching the Big 8, had a lot of respect for and really liked. So okay. All right, Jacob wants to know, why did we kick that field goal? Felt like giving up. That's when it was 34-7, made it 34-10. Look, I think your offense needed something to feel good about. Needed something to take home and say, hey, we did that. I know some people were upset, wanted to go for it, get the touchdown. 3 points doesn't matter. 3 points didn't matter, but like this, you're not coaching for tonight, man. You weren't going to win that game. You're coaching for the next 6 games with these kids. At this point, you're coaching to beat South Carolina, Mississippi State, Arkansas, and Vandy, and buoy their confidence a little bit. I didn't have a problem kicking the field goal. It didn't matter, but I didn't have a problem kicking it. As a Power 5 school, we have to find someone who can catch punt returns. Yes, absolutely. At some point, they will have to catch a punt and return it. We really need Knox to step up. It's going to be hard to be successful without being able to stretch the field. Fair point. Yeah. Ideally, you need Chisholm and Hazelton to step up because that's why they were brought here. But, yeah, Jalen Knox is the biggest downfield weapon. It'll be interesting to see how many positive tests after playing these dirt bags. All right, let's go back. Reagan calling us back. What's up, Reagan?
Okay. I promised myself I wasn't gonna call back in, but then you started talking about the Big 8 and Billy Tubbs, and then you started talking about the field goal that made it 34-10.
Mm-hmm.
And I figure we should look forward a little bit. You know what? Let's get ridiculous. What if Mizzou pulls off the upset against Georgia? What does that look like?
It involves Georgia playing badly, right? That's just Missouri can play a perfect game, and if Georgia plays decent to well, they're going to lose. Georgia is, they're better at pretty much every spot. I don't know if they're better at quarterback, but they've got so much else around him that it doesn't matter.
That is one point. Yeah, Stetson Bennett, I would never agree that he's better than Connor Bazelak, but otherwise, yeah.
Yeah.
Even on offense, they have James Cook,
Zamir White,
whatever his name is.
Yeah.
But
so
it
involves Georgia playing poorly, first of all.
Of course.
Yeah.
But how poorly does that a couple of pick sixes.
Well,
I just thought it'd be fun to be talking about how ridiculous do we need to
okay,
get
so
here to get to a Mizzou
in
game.
our hypothetical situation, does Missouri play an A game?
I would think so. I think they'd
Okay.
have to at this point to win.
If Missouri plays an A game and Georgia plays a C game, Missouri might win.
Whoa. Okay. Okay.
Might.
Honestly, I would think Georgia would have, like, at this point, I think Georgia has to play a D game, even with Stetson. I'm not a big believer in Stetson Bennett at quarterback, but even with him at quarterback,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have said C game. That's
Well,
that's
I didn't say they would win. I said might win.
Well,
So,
okay, fair enough.
C game, they'd have a shot, you know. So, yeah,
You're pretty pessimistic towards Mizzou, and that's kind of the nature of your job. And I'm pretty optimistic towards Mizzou, but even I wouldn't have said C game.
okay. I just think they'd have
found that interesting.
I think they'd have a shot at a C game. I'm not sure they'd win, but I think they'd have a shot.
Okay, fair enough.
All right. Thanks, Reagan. Have a good one, man.
Appreciate you having fun with me. Thank you.
All right. Okay, so okay, going back to the comments, yeah, Florida's dirtbags from the Breakfast King of Loyola. That's the kind of things we like to see during this show. I know Mizzou's pass rush isn't highly regarded, but is Florida's O-line just that good? Aside from the pick six, we couldn't get to Trask at all. They put some pressure on with some blitzes, but look, I mean, you know, Alabama's line was great, and yeah, they were. And then we heard Tennessee's line was great, but kind of Tennessee's line hadn't looked great. Missouri's pass rush isn't all that good. I mean, it just isn't. You know, now Trajan Jeffcoat's had some moments. Trey Williams had some moments, but other than that, they mostly have had to blitz to get pressure. Missouri's pass rush just isn't great. You know, I don't. That's how you put it. All right, some good old-fashioned stomping in the melee, too. Yeah, I heard that. I haven't gone back and looked at it, but I've heard it. How would you rate turnover props now that we finally saw the turnover champ boxing robe? It's not bad. The turnover money bag at Ole Miss is the best. I mean, the turnover chain at Miami, like, it's the original. It's, you know, everybody else is copying it. The turnover trash can at Tennessee, it was so awful, it's great. That's not this year. I think that was a year or two ago. But, you know, the robe was decent. Didn't hate it, but it was decent. Mullen wore senior citizen khakis designed to wear adult. All right, now we're getting into the comments of a midnight YouTube show, guys. Here we go. Top 3 Mizzou football players in the octagon. I don't know, man. We're getting off topic. Okay. Just want to point out Mizzou has beaten Florida 4 times in the last 8 years. Yeah, 100%. No question. If you listen to Dan Mullen, he was just an innocent victim trying to control his players. He failed at both of those things. Breakfast King of Loyola is my guy. Haith charging at Suitcase Mike was awesome. I think Reagan is a character, not a real person. Man, I wish I wasn't a real person. Reagan, appreciate you calling, man. I think a lot of people didn't want to talk about this game, so I appreciate you calling in and talking about this game. Georgia offense looked terrible today. Yeah, but you don't have to look good to beat Kentucky. You know, it happens. All right, a lot of talk about Reagan. He says always bet the over. All right, 6-4 seems realistic. That's the goal. I think 5-5 is more realistic, but yeah, that's all right. Just watch Mullen's post game, and all right, look, guys. So yeah, we're gonna end it where we started it. Patrick says, "There you go. There's the Dan Mullen picture, guys. He did the post game in a Darth Vader costume. I know it's Halloween. I know all that, but like, read the room, Dan. Come on, man. I don't know. It was a bad night for Missouri fans. It was a bad night for Dan Mullen. It's been a long night. Appreciate you guys being a part of it. We'll talk to you.